There comes a stage in everyone's lives when we are relocating to a different city.
Where to, miss?
New York City.
And we all know that quality of life isn't the first thing that we look at. The first thing that we are usually looking at is the cost of living at a place. And I feel like we have taken down such a big parameter like cost of living and narrowed it down to such opaque statements, generalizing and judging by simple experiences of ours. I feel which is wrong. And cost of living has to be a very detailed topic, which can be studied so nicely, and decisions can be made based on mathematical calculations that we do. But I'm not saying that these mathematical calculations are actually really good and you should really rely on them. But it was fun to do, and I was always curious about cost of living my entire life because I think about relocating to different cities the whole time around the world. So yeah, let's see by fitting data sets into this machine learning model that how cost of living is influenced and is different in different cities around the world. We start with the landing page of the project, and everything is compared to Delhi, India. So Delhi, India over here is at the score of 100. Now let's do a more domestic comparison to start with, and let's compare Mumbai, which is also a hotly debated topic among most of my peers. If you look at this, you can see that the local purchasing power is slightly less than New Delhi, which means the wages are slightly lower. Similar cities are across Central Asia and Eastern Europe. The cost of living, therefore, is 1.5 times of New Delhi, and the rent and housing is 2.7 times of that of Delhi. Now, here we have the SHAP comparison, which we have laid down through the game theory approach. Actually, this is a way through which machine learning model outputs are being compared when it comes to projects like these. Not getting really deep into it, there's a part here where you can see a rough comparison between both the cities where a little bit of conclusion has been derived. Now, let's go for a more international comparison where we take Tokyo and Delhi. So, Tokyo is on the more expensive cities in the dataset. It is 2.7 times that of Delhi, which places it in East Asia region. If we look at the stats, we can see that wages stretch further. Now they are 1.6 times that of Delhi, and rent and housing is 3.8 times. If you scroll below, you can see the sharp comparisons over here as well. You'll take a little read to understand them, but if you look at the more similar cities, most of the cities are either from the Middle East or East Asia, and you can see that there are Canadian cities which are similar to Tokyo as well. Taking Seoul as one example, it is very similar to those of expenses of Tokyo. Actually, a little bit more in the cost of living. Now, Canadian cities obviously are very similar to that of the cost of living of Tokyo and Seoul. Also, we might have a few New Zealand cities and German cities. Actually, Northern European cities would also come in this bracket. Moving further, you can also understand all of this through the small paragraph that has been given below. Now, if you look at it, we can basically see that such cities are pretty similar in comparison. But let's draw an interesting international comparison that would be between New York and Delhi. So let's see what happens when we click at New York and have a look at where is it? Oh, okay. Yeah, a little bit towards the north. Hmm. So New York is 6.6 times more expensive from Delhi. And what is very shocking is that the rent is 14.5 times that of New Delhi. Even cities like San Francisco and cities in central and obviously eastern part of United States are pretty similar, like Florida and Western United States, like San Francisco. Obviously, these cities have similar cost of living, although they stretch between 4 to 6, 7 even, but they are pretty similar. Now, rent and housing is very high in comparison, even in London. Actually, something is pretty evident over here. If you look at it, most of the cities in Africa, South America, and Asia are very similar. Exceptions are always there, but the developed world has higher cost of living. That is pretty evident in North America and Europe. Now you can also do comparisons and global insights, which are on these other pages, which I love to read sometimes. But we have pretty much derived conclusions on the world on the first landing page only. You can also build a custom profile if you're pretty into it and if you're really interested in knowing how a city would behave if it would have a particular type of rent and housing, and some regional predictions as well. Now, if you're really into documentation, you should really go for it. I have attached the link below. So, yeah, if we set the rent and housing, groceries, and restaurants to these levels, you can always see that the cost of living is high because rent and housing and local purchasing power that's high as well. Also, as I mentioned before, I have some docs. This almost feels like reading a book if you really look into it. And I have listed all the mathematical calculations that I have used in this project. So it would be obviously fun to read if you really go for it. So, yeah, that was all, I guess. I'll attach the link to the GitHub repository of this explainer below in the description. Also, you can always check out my GitHub, and I have many, many projects like these. For the past few months, I had been thinking about an intersection I could find between what I am studying in college and what I want to speak out in the world to. So recently, I came about this thought that machine learning can actually be used to implement many real-world problem of ours, and a few more videos would be made on that because I'm I'm really into it and I love to do such things. So yeah, I hope you like the content, and please do not forget to leave a subscribe and like the video.